4th of January, 362 days to go. Bogus was at the door. It was 11:35 a.m. Today he had his wavy hair, which he hates, all pushed back. "Hey," he said, his smile quickly fading from his face as he saw mine battered and bruised. He swore. "What happened to you? Were you in a fight?" Here we go, I thought. "Well, there was a boating accident on the lake," I said, "and I nearly drowned." Bogus stared at me blankly. "I had to be winched out of the sea by a helicopter. Oh, and there were sharks too." Bogus stared at me blankly. "Yeah, right," he said after a moment of silence. "My gran won 50 million in the lottery, and NASA's picking me up for the next moon landing." He stood there laughing awkwardly, waiting for me to join in. But it wasn't funny. I unwrapped the bandage on my hand and showed him the gash. Bogus swore again. "How come you didn't tell me about this when you called yesterday?" he asked. "I was going to, but then, anyway, you know now." "So it was you," Bogus said, eyes suddenly wide. "No way! I saw it on the news. Some kid having to be rescued off the coast." He grinned at me. "Man, you're famous!" "Do I want to be famous for that?" Bogus looked up at my house and the mounting pile of broken stuff near the bins. "How about a gangland robbery?" he suggested with a grin. "Maybe there was gold bullion in your dad's suitcase and that's been taken too. How would you ever know?" "Gold bullion? Yeah, right." We laughed. It was the first laugh I'd had in ages. I forgot my sadness over Dad for a second before it all came rushing back at me like the sharks. 12:02 p.m. The phone in the living room rang. I ran to get it and Bogus followed. "Hey, Theo," I said. It was Dad's friend calling from the coast. "Do you want to speak to Mum?" "No, not really," he said. "I think she's got enough on her plate. I'd rather tell you." "Tell me what?" I asked already. My stomach was tensing. "Cal," said Theo, "I've just been talking to the local constable at Treachery Bay. Your dad's boat washed up a couple of kilometres north early this morning near Swan's Nest." There was a pause. "He said the boat had been sabotaged." "Sabotaged?" I remembered the sluggish way the tinny had flopped around in the waves and how quickly it had started to fill up, lying way too low in the water. "Yes, I'm afraid so, Cal. According to the constable, somebody made some very deliberate incisions in the metal. The buoyancy tanks would have slowly started filling up almost from the moment you two headed out." "I wonder why the tanks weren't keeping us afloat. But who would do that? We could have died out there," I whispered. I didn't want Mum to overhear. "Anyone could have done it. It's easy enough to get into the shed. Probably some drunken lout's idea of a joke. But there's not much the police can do. I guess you can consider yourselves lucky." After answering Theo's questions about how we all were and saying I'd pass the information on to my uncle, I put the phone down. I didn't even bother telling him about the break-in. "What's going on? Who was that?" Bogus asked. "Something's really wrong," I said. "Something seriously messed up is happening to my family. Ever since Dad went to Ireland last year, everything turned bad." I showed him Dad's letter and the angel drawing. He sat and took it all in slowly and silently, and then I filled him in on the sabotage boat, my waterlogged life jacket, and the crazy guy, and his warning about the Ormond Singularity. "The what?" Bogus asked. "The Ormond Singularity, something connected to my family." "It sounds dangerous, dude. Your uncle won't be happy when he hears about the foul play," said Bogus. "I hate to say it, but I don't know about Theo's 'it was probably just a couple of drunks' theory." "Theo? What did Theo want?" Mum asked as she stepped into the kitchen. She started packing the dishwasher. Bogus sat down uncomfortably. I didn't want to worry her with the latest news. Not yet. "He's been talking to the cops," I said. "The tinny washed up near the Swan's Nest and he thought we should know." 10:49 p.m. Bogus had gone home and I was lying on my bed trying to get some sleep. It was such a hot night. All my bruises were aching and my hands were stinging. I stared at the drawing of the angel, remembering the last days I spent with Dad in the hospice. His body was limp and rotting, but his eyes had followed me intently. "What is it, Dad?" I'd asked. I felt like he was desperate to tell me something, but by then he couldn't speak.